POD7 here once again with another comic book haul video. It's a doozy. In the previous one, I had said that I would upload a rather substantial video covering a lot of Catwoman, I believe, is what I was hinting at. At the time that I said that, I had, I think 15, no, probably closer to 10 issues helping to boost my Catwoman collection. And as you'll see later in this video, that's now more like closer to 30. So, got all kinds of new stuff, figures, different kinds of books, hardcover, some older stuff that isn't Catwoman as well that I just picked up because I thought they were cool. So let's go ahead and start with the new, and we'll kind of go with the theme running along. Gotham Academy, they had a couple of these yearbook issues near the end of the first year, apparently, because they now have another Gotham Academy book coming out called Next Semester, and I don't know why they didn't just keep it as Gotham Academy and have Next Semester as the like subtitle there, like they have with the yearbook. But I really like this book because it gives a lot of other artists a chance to shine where they otherwise might not. So really cool of DC to start bringing in maybe a lesser known or more non-traditional artists onto this book. So I hope that continues. I also kind of like the anthology style storytelling in these yearbook issues. I can't remember. No, this is the only one I have in here. This might be the last one, actually, now that I think about it. But it's a great book. Nice, lighthearted affair. Probably a good thing for younger teens to get into. If you have a younger brother or sister, Gotham Academy would definitely be something different, something human, but also in the realm of superheroes that you could get them hooked into, maybe. And they also have a crossover miniseries with the Lumberjanes, which is an independent book that I'm looking forward to reading a lot. I should have 2 or 3 issues at the comic shop next time I go. So, next up we have The Legend of Wonder Woman. Fantastic miniseries, I guess it is, because the inside cover of number 7 said 7 of 9. And I don't know if that means it's going to be canceled after part 9, or if that's just the end and that was how it was planned, or what. But I think maybe they're doing that because they have the Wonder Woman 77, Wonder Woman, and then Trinity all at the same time. And that's basically 3 Wonder Woman books on top of Justice League and all that. So who knows if this book will survive, but I hope it does, because it's a nice, more modernized look at the retro origins of Wonder Woman. The art is really nice and really, I want to say comfortable. It's not as... obviously, in the fight sequences and stuff, there's going to be more harsher tones and harder outlines and stuff, but everything else, it actually kind of reminds me a lot of Spider-Man Loves Mary Jane, in the way the color palettes are used in the downtime sequences, like when she's talking to the Holiday Girls and Etta Candy and all that. So, just a great Wonder Woman series if you're a fan. obviously you're probably already reading this, but if you are a fan that hasn't read for a long time, maybe you grew up watching the Justice League cartoon and you don't know where to start, and you don't want to be bogged down by all the uh, previous continuity and all that, you might pick this book up because it's a really nice way to ease yourself into uh, one of the more complex origins of a superhero. And yeah, it's just really good. I forgot where I was going there, but uh, we also have Bombshells still ongoing. Uh, all hell is broken loose, basically, and all the girls are fighting together. Um, Supergirl died, kind of, maybe, which was kind of strange. Uh, we'll see where that ends up. I don't think she's really dead, but we'll see what happens. Uh, I do like that they go back and forth between the different characters. This issue here checked in on Maggie Sawyer, who is Kate Kane's live-in girlfriend, and she eventually kind of Commissioner Gordon's her way into the lives of the Batgirls, along with Lois Lane, who is saved by the Batgirls. So that was really cool. There's also an appearance by Killer Frost and the Penguin in the Bombshells universe in here, if I remember right. Some of these books I picked up, I think the last video was in May, so it's been 2 or 3 months now. Yeah, because it's almost August, so as I record this, so um, it's gonna be hard for me to remember what's going on in each specific issue sometimes. As you see here, Harley Quinn fighting off Duella Dent. I think Duella poses as the Joker at some point, but I can't remember what exactly happens in this one. But Harley and Ivy are definitely hooked up now in the series, as it should be. And they end up going underground to find some kind of like miracle seed or something. I can't. It was kind of strange, but definitely some interesting backstory for Harley Quinn, and also a little tease in Bombshells. I can't remember if it was 14 or uh, somewhere between 10 and 14, where they tease that Batgirl is running like a vampire plantation in New Orleans somehow. So that will be interesting to see when they tell that story. um, and I say Batgirl, I mean Barbara Gordon, the original Batgirl. So you can see a little tease on the right there of something coming up, something wonderful that I've been wanting to get for many years. 15. this was a pretty good one. This is when Renee Montoya shows up again, which was wonderful. And there's some great dialogue between her and Kate and Selena. So I was definitely pretty pleased with this issue. And as you can see, I forgot to point out on the last issue, but we got the new logo. So this is all after Rebirth started. And I'm really not looking forward to describing Rebirth later in this video because I'm not entirely sure I know what all happened with Rebirth, but we'll see what happens. Black Canary, the last issue of Black Canary. It was a good ride. I'm glad they went out there on a limb and took a chance on something a bit more different. The punk aesthetic was fantastic for Black Canary's character. I would have liked to have seen where they went with it. But unfortunately, they decided they needed to bring back Birds of Prey. with Batgirl as the leader, which is strange because Black Canary's kind of always Black Canary, Huntress, and uh, Oracle kind of shared. It was kind of a democracy, and of course when Batgirl and Starling, I think, no. Anyway, every time they added somebody else, obviously there were more opinions, and so it was that made for more drama. But the core trilogy or triumvirate, the core trinity of the group, would always be the catalyst for everything. So we'll see what happens. I should have the first issue of Batgirl and the Birds of Prey tomorrow. I think I'm going to the store, so. But I just wanted to get this video done because I've basically just been putting it off for no reason. So I'm not sure where Annie Wu is going. She's the one that did all the art, all the pencil anyway, in this series. And I think if it had been a traditionally drawn comic book, I don't think I would have lasted it all the way through. But the art definitely kept me hooked. It's kind of like it was almost like Batwoman, where the art drew me in, and then the writing kept me around. But the art was still great. And then this series was great art, not terribly great writing, but passable. And the art definitely served as a great vehicle for the writing. So check out the 12 issues of Black Canary if you want to see kind of an alternate take on her. Obviously, the new Rebirth stuff is more of a traditional return to what she used to be like. So, and of course, probably the second most exciting title for me in Rebirth is the new Wonder Woman series, written by Greg Rucka, who wrote the original run of Batwoman in Detective Comics. What is called as Elegy. It's the one that made her kind of have a cult following, basically. So it was great to see him return to Wonder Woman. They're kind of doing a flashback sort of a story to begin with, and I'm not caught up on all the Wonder Woman from the New 52, so I don't know entirely what's going on, but I'm sure he'll make it all make sense eventually, so I have faith in Greg Rucka. You may notice that I don't have the Frank Cho variant for number 1. I actually prefer this cover for number 1. I got number 2 because that's all they had. Was the variant cover when I went to Prairie Dog Comics in Wichita, and which is crazy because you would think Frank Cho's covers would be sold out immediately, but I like where it's going. I'm a kind of a fair weather fan of Wonder Woman. I don't know if that's the right term. It's like 2 in the morning when I'm recording this, but really, I love the character, but her stories have been very iffy at best. I think Wonder Woman is the best when she's in super serious warrior mode, or in I get that reference, you know, displaced in time style, happy-go-lucky woman who just enjoys life and loves talking to people and that kind of thing. So definitely excited to have Greg Rucka back on Wonder Woman, and we'll see where it goes. Okay. Now we're on to Catwoman. I picked this up. I already had a copy of it because Batwoman appears as oh gosh, what did they call her in Gothopia? Like Blue Bat or something like that. And so I had that, but it was in my Batwoman collection, so it was missing from my Catwoman New 52 run, so I went ahead and slipped that in there. And so I just thought I would include that here. I also picked up this variant issue. Some people may know what Hastings is. It's a buy-sell used media store that was kind of like half Hot Topic, half CD Trade Post, that kind of stuff, and half GameStop, half. It was trying to corner the market on nerd culture, but they ended up just buying too much stuff and not selling enough stuff, and so they're going bankrupt. And they have a whole, or at least last time I was there, they had a whole like 4-foot wide shelf of just variant covers, or 4-foot wide drawer, sorry, of variant covers, and this was the Teen Titans Go 42 cover, and it was 99 cents, so definitely wanted to pick that up. I'll have to see if they have any more. I think I would have picked up more if I had money, so I'll have to see if they still have any, if they're even open anymore tomorrow when I go down to the comic shop. But yeah, just kind of a little sad thing, because they were stupidly expensive, even on their used stuff a lot of the time, so I'm not too sad about it, but it was kind of a one-stop shop for me with anime and comics and video games and movies and books and magic and all kinds of stuff, so it is kind of sad to see it go, but such are the perils of capitalism in the 21st century. Here we go. This is the really weird looking the regular cover of the last issue of Catwoman, which is kind of strange because they set it up like it was going to continue, from what I remember, but apparently not. I'm missing issue 49 from this volume, which is volume 4. Otherwise, I'll have every single Catwoman issue from volume 4 and several of the variants, and yada yada yada. But obviously, this is a really terrible cover. Like, I thought the variant cover was bad because it was a redraw of the first issue's cover, but like more tame and less color and less polish. And see my last video for that that whole thing. But yeah, just this looks like what you would see in a loading screen for a PlayStation 1 game, in my opinion, so I don't know what they were thinking here. As you can see, there's 7 people listed on the crew for this book, which means probably the regular team was done, and so they had people come in and finish up on everything. Once the main team was told they weren't going to be doing anymore, they had these people come in and finish everything up. That's my conspiracy theory, anyway. So I'll miss Catwoman. I'm sure with the success of Suicide Squad and Harley Quinn in general, with Poison Ivy getting her own miniseries, it would not surprise me at all if around September, October, we see Gotham City Sirens show up again, which would be Volume 2. And here we go. Maybe I didn't talk about this in the last video. That slipped my mind, I guess. But as you can see, this is a far tamer version of issue 1's cover, which I think does a disservice to the character, because it's not like everybody knows the character is sexualized, and I think most people are pretty okay with Catwoman being a sexual person. I mean, like, you don't have to put her nude on a cover or anything, but like, this just looks bland when you look at it. I mean, the way they shaded her outfit matches with the building too much. Like, it's too blue, and that doesn't make any sense. But it's just it's done. They did it. It's done. It doesn't matter anymore. Uh, there's plenty of good covers to come in this video. That's for sure. Oh, and we got some other new stuff. I wonder why I put this out of order. As you can see here, Catwoman showing up in Poison Ivy, Cycle of Life and Death. She's going to be both of these two are going to be showing up a bit later in the video. So, Poison Ivy, Life and Death. It ended okay, I guess. I mean, I have no idea where they're going to even go with the characters that show up at the end of this book. If you read it, like, I guess we'll just say spoilers, and when you see just mute the video, and when you see me move on to another cover, that's when the spoilers will be over. So, Poison Ivy was working on making plant people, and unbeknownst to her, her research had been stolen and was being used to create super soldiers, or soldiers you could grow within like a week instead of having to, put them in, like, inseminate a woman and have the kid born and have to raise it for 18 years. And something went down, and this scary monster you see here was the big bad, and he got infected with the stuff, and he turned into a big monster. But Ivy managed to save 3 or 4 saplings or sporelings, I forget what she calls them, children, basically. And between the end of issue 4 and 6, they're fully grown adults from basically like 4-year-olds at the end of chapter 4 or issue 4. So they grow fast, and they develop their own personalities and powers and all that. And this final issue is them helping Poison Ivy and guest starring Swamp Thing take out this new threat. And Swamp Thing has some kind of murky message to give to Poison Ivy from the Green about how their war with the Rot isn't over, and while Ivy is distracted, all the saplings or sporelings skip out of town, basically. And there's just some kind of message at the end of the book that says, like, this isn't the last you've seen of them, basically. And it's kind of like, are you sure? Where else are they going to show up? Other than, like, a Gotham City Sirens book, or a new Swamp Thing book, which I highly doubt they're going to do. So it'll be interesting to see where they show up. I've talked far too long about this, so let's go on to the next book. Wow. Let me get a drink before I start this. This is the worst Catwoman cover of all time. I think you can see that for yourselves, but I just wanted to let you know, as someone who has looked at Catwoman stuff for the last 3 months, this is by far the worst Catwoman cover. Probably one of the worst comic book covers, period, I've ever seen. This is late 80s for you, basically. There's just so much going on here. Like, the suit is so tight that you can see the definition of her collarbones, but her sleeve near her wrist is, like, completely flaccid and, like, baggy almost. Like, what is going on with this? And, of course, the face. I mean, wow. Just Defiant is a fairly ironic title, I think. I didn't even bother reading this, to be honest. Like, I flipped through it, but man, this is like as bad as it looks here. If you could see it in person, you would probably gag a little bit. Uh, but this was like a one-off thing, I guess. Yeah, and like there was the four-issue mini, and that's considered volume one of Catwoman. And then this came out, and then we have this volume of Catwoman, uh, which, as you will see, I picked up quite a few of these. These are the, I think his name is Ballant. Ballant. I'm not sure. But apparently, in every single one of the covers he did for Catwoman, he hid. This, I actually found this out just the other day on my birthday when I went to Tulsa and went to the Comic Empire, which is a store there in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And they told me that in every Ballot Catwoman cover, there's a hidden cat. Most of the time, it's in her hair or like on the wall or something, or if she's holding an object, it's probably going to be on there. But I drove myself crazy for like an hour looking at all these, trying to find where the cat is. So just a neat little extra thing that I had no idea about, even though I'm fairly close to being done collecting Catwoman. So I've got the first 20, I think, now. There you go, Night Quest: The Search, man. some great some great 90s stuff for anybody who doesn't know much about 90s Batman and DC comics. Because it seems like most of the people I talk to lately only know about Marvel in the 90s. It's really weird. It probably doesn't help that every comic shop within a 200-mile radius of me is like 80% Marvel stock and like 10% DC stock and then 10% everything else. It's really bizarre, I would say. There she is fighting Azrael, aka John Paul Valley. And that's number 7. Number 8, we have Zephyr. I almost called her Madam Butterfly. Good God. Yeah, okay. I was gonna say something about the costume, but because if you look up in the DC at the DC logo and down towards Catwoman with the glove over her face, it's a purple glove, but she's actually wearing black gloves on the cover. So like that kind of threw me off for a second. We got another thing with Zephyr. She shows up quite a lot, from what I understand. She must be. I'm not sure if she's an original villain for Catwoman or not, but I think I have 9, 10, 11, 12. John Paul Valley back again, still in the Nightfall storyline going on in the background. Night's End, 13. And then, of course, right into 0 Hour, which is that's one of the first like mega event I really remember because it was just so insane. Because we had evil Hal Jordan, which I grew up with as a hero, but not long enough to really be attached to him. So I thought it was kind of cool that he went around as a villain. And didn't understand why everybody was so upset that he just wanted to make the universe into a better place. As a dumb young kid, not realizing that would basically kill everybody in the universe. 14, 15, 16, 17, she is almost always in peril or like in horrific pain on her covers. They're very, at least in this volume, like she's being attacked by just random dogs now. Here there's people shooting all around her. Like, yeah, I don't like I said in the last video, I'm collecting Volume 2. I started collecting Volume 2 because the covers are just so ridiculous and outrageous. Basically, zero interest in reading it. Because I feel like a lot of it would be outdated, or at least come across as extremely I don't want to say misogynistic, but just like ignorant through the modern lens. So I just leave the memories alone and enjoy these ridiculous, over the top, like just a random snake and a bunch of dudes on the ground and their skulls in the tree. Like every single issue almost, she's being attacked. She's being threatened by a claw beast. 21, getting close to where the consecutive order ends that I have. Like, just look at this one. I mean, she's not even in the costume, and she's being attacked. This should be the last one in the consecutive order. I have no idea where the cat would be in this one. Possibly in her hair. No, this is the last one, man. Maybe I do have all the way through 25. Oh no, that's the one I don't have. Of course it is. 24, 26. Me and the guys at Comic Empire and I looked over this 3 or 4 times and we couldn't find the cat on this one. So 27, being attacked by an animal again, and jump all the way to number 50. So quite a few to catch up on. From 27 to 50, so almost half the series of or half of the first half, really. Because as you can see here, I have number 93, which I think is pretty close to the actual. It says the end of the charade, but I think it's pretty close to the actual end of the series, if not the last issue of Volume 2. So. Pretty interesting there to jump from that far. I could probably get most of the ones I'm missing from Volume 2 pretty easy, because every store I've ever been to has tons of Catwoman stuff. So next up, it was the miniseries after Volume 2 was all said and done, Catwoman and Wildcat. At least I believe it was. It might have happened at the same time. I didn't realize how much Wildcat and Sam Bradley, or is that his name? Whatever. How much Wildcat really is involved with Catwoman since like the 80s. It's kind of strange because his son ends up in the Volume 3, which we'll get into. I didn't take a picture of all 4 Catwoman Wildcats because it's in the same bag and board, and I just didn't bother to do it. Just have it all in one bag so I can read it all at the same time if I ever get the inkling to do that. And then we have some annuals here. I mistakenly sold my 1994 annual for store credit, and so I have to get that back at some point. It's the one where Catwoman is like a literal Catwoman, and it's an Elseworlds tale. So here you see 95. This would be 96, 97. Well, I guess I'm missing another one. I thought I had all of them except for the first one now, but apparently not. And then the 2-part Guardian of Gotham, where Catwoman is the hero of Gotham, and Batman ends up being kind of like a Red Hood, almost. Jason Todd situation where he kills other villains so he can take over their territory. At least that's the synopsis I read, because I didn't bother to read this. I should have. Oh, I just had these out of order. Damn it. Now I look like a fool. Number 3 annual. I'm not sure if this is just like the flip side Earth kind of thing where all the villains are good and all the heroes are bad, but uh, pretty much anytime you see that Rocky cover at the top, uh, it's going to be a good time. Because I remember all the Elseworlds titles that had that kind of letterbox thing. Like at the bottom, the Flash is covering it up, but it says Dead Earth. So all of those tend to be, you know, Mamma Mia spicy meatballs level of strange and interesting, anyway. Here we have Catwoman 1 million. The 1 million series takes place in the 853rd century. Uh, and so that was pretty interesting, especially it was the one time I was like super interested in Superman, uh, because that's where Superman Prime comes from, and Superman Prime figured out a way over the centuries to live inside the sun, which was, insane. And so his powers grew exponentially over 830 centuries, obviously. And so he's basically an immortal being beyond even the likes of Darkseid and Highfather, and probably even, maybe even the one above all. Depends on who you ask. But uh, I've got this, and I've got Manhunter 1 million, which is pretty cool. Just one of those things where like it was uh, like almost a mini mega event. Aha! Switching gears, now that we've got Volume 2 and some of the in-betweens between Volume 2 and Volume 3 taken care of Catwoman, we're going to take a little break from that, kind of freshen the video up a little bit so it's not just Catwoman for, 45 minutes. This was something I've wanted for literally a decade. I think it came out in 2006. Which is great because the original series came out in 1996. So 20 years ago, I've been a fan of this exact story for 20 years, and it's the comic book story that made me think that, like with Batman the Animated Series, it was a defining moment of my childhood because it was, whoa, wait a second, why is this so dark, and why do all these bad things happen to all these good people? And and it got me thinking about the world as it is, not just cartoons bouncing up and down, like Muppet Babies and Care Bears and stuff like that. So when I read this, I was probably 10 years old, maybe 9. I don't know if we read it exactly when it came out, but 10 or 11 when the trades came out, and man, this story just blew me away. Um, so it's just an amazing story, an amazing book, and of course the art is absolutely beyond compare. Alex Ross is divine in his painting. Uh, just absolutely wonderful. Can't recommend it enough. I happened to pick this up. It was brand new, shrink wrapped at Hall of Heroes. and it was priced at $99.99, and I used store credit to get it, and he ended up only charging me $75 because Dave is amazing, and that's why Hall of Heroes is still the best comic shop I've ever been to. So now, also, after that huge long diatribe that was probably half the video, I also picked up Dark Knight, a true Batman story from Paul Dini and Eduardo Risso. Um, it's under the Vertigo imprint because it's not technically a Batman story, but it's the autobiographical tale of Paul Dini while he was working on Batman, the animated series, and he was going home one night from a dinner date, and something happened in their conversation where he realized that she didn't think that they were dating, while he had thought she was his girlfriend, and he had been bragging about her all over town and taking her to all these fancy awards ceremonies that he got to go to for Batman and everything. And so that really bummed him out, and he decided to walk home instead of getting a cab. And he just happened to walk past these two guys, and they beat the holy hell out of him and took his money and just went off into the night. And they never, from what I remember in the book, they never caught them. So, and the rest of the story, you definitely need to pick this up if you're a fan of Batman the Animated Series, Tiny Toons, even Animaniacs to an extent, because this guy was a huge force of nature behind the scenes for those shows, and you owe it, if you love those shows and if you feel like they were a hallmark of your childhood, you owe it to him to read his story. And it's very dark. There's some self-harm going on, suicidal thoughts, that kind of stuff. Very well told. Like I said, it's very dark, and but it does come out, he's doing much better, obviously. And apparently this all came about when he went on Kevin Smith's Fat Man on Batman podcast, and Kevin Smith just kind of threw it out there. Hey, did you ever tell anybody about when you got mugged or something like that? And like the story just came flowing out, and and eventually the idea came along to do this book anyway. So highly recommend it. The art is fantastic. Lots of licensed characters. The only thing they didn't really get was Woody Woodpecker, I think, for some strange reason, which is because that property is basically dead, as far as I know. And but yeah, it's a great read. Some good memories in there at the beginning. Obviously, like I said, just absolutely heartbreaking parts that I had to put the book down because they made me so mad that this kind of thing happens to such great people all the time. And sometimes when you hear stuff like that or read stuff like that, it just overwhelms me anyway, and I just have to stop and tip back and eyes closed and swallow it all down. So pick it up. It's $20, I think. I don't know what the digital price would be, but definitely worth your time. I think this is the final piece in the break between Volume 2 and Volume 3 of Catwoman. I had walked by this figure in Hall of Heroes so many times, and for whatever reason, the last time I went, I just said, well, I'm on a Poison Ivy kick, I gotta pick this up. So it's Poison Ivy from the Hush story arc of Batman, and they had a Huntress one that I had also walked by a billion times, and for some reason it was gone that time, so I ended up picking up Poison Ivy alone, unfortunately. You can kind of see the outline of my giant fat head in the reflection there, if you're interested. That's a better shot of the figure on the side. I'm probably never going to take her out of the box, as most comic book nerds wouldn't. As you can see in the background to the left there, the looming rebirth leading up to something later in the video. And here we go, Volume 3. This is, I would say this was one of the best rebirths to tie everything in together. One of the best rebirths of a character DC has ever done. Brubaker is an amazing writer. Obviously, if you're familiar with comic books, Marvel or DC, you probably have read Ed Brubaker at least once in your life. Amazing runs on Daredevil and Captain America, Catwoman. He's done a lot of stuff. And this run on Catwoman is fantastic. I actually bothered to read all of the issues I bought for this, so some of the story details are bumpy because I didn't get every issue. Obviously, that would have been amazing if I could have, but definitely the later issues that I got, I read through every single one of those, and I read through the first 5 that I got, which are here with number 1. I love this cover. I think it was really important to show her without the mask, like the cowl and the goggles. It was a great decision, an important decision, because this book is a lot more personal for Selina Kyle. It's not just about the thieving and, randomly showing up in jungles to save cats and stuff like that. This is more Catwoman, Guardian of the East End kind of stuff. And I also really, it's probably not intentional at all, but I like the cover because of the light highlight of her eyes. That really matches a close up in Batman: Mask of the Phantasm of Andrea. Oh crap! The love interest in Mask of the Phantasm. I can't believe I've blanked on her name right now. God, what was her name? It's Andrea, something like that. I can't remember the last name. It starts with an R, I think. But anyway, there's a scene where it closes up on her eyes like that, and her eyebrows are just like that, and her eyes are almost drawn almost exactly that way, and was a cool, probably completely unintentional Easter egg. Then we jump to 4. I don't know if I covered 2 and 3 in the last video, but if I didn't, sorry. I'm pretty sure I have them, but yeah, the covers in the first 40 issues, they go from this to this, and issue 38 especially is horrendous, but you can look that up on your own. And then we have 6 through 10. I forgot. I picked these up literally a week ago, so I shouldn't have forgot. This must have been the first issue where Holly appears. I thought she appeared in number 1, but I don't know. Some pretty decent covers still go on strong here. A lot of the early stuff was just establishing her trials and tribulations in the East End of Gotham, setting her up as, the defender of that side of the city, even though Batman is considered to be, you know, the Gotham guy. There's Catwoman in the East End, Nightwing in Bloodhaven, Batgirl in Burnside, and there's all these different suburbs and districts that have their own protectors too, when Batman can't be everywhere at once. So I thought that was pretty neat that they had her focused on pretty much the Hell's Kitchen of Gotham City. So we jumped from 10 to the, I would consider, I almost want to call them legendary, but it might be iconic. In fact, Adam Hughes did an amazing run on Catwoman for the covers. A lot of the stuff you've probably seen of Catwoman prior to New 52 was Adam Hughes. Especially if you type in like sexy Catwoman or something on Google or Tumblr. If you just even type in Catwoman, you're probably going to see an Adam Hughes as the first result. So definitely happy to pick up any Adam Hughes cover I could find. This is where I really started paying attention to what I was reading. And this kind of leads up to she's kind of losing her way a bit as far as being the guardian of the East End, and she's starting to get back more into thieving a little bit, and that's kind of tearing her up inside. Just absolutely stunning covers by Adam Hughes. I mean, like, almost all of these could be on a t-shirt. But anyway, in issue 50, we get the bombshell of, pun intended, Zatanna showing up to reveal to Catwoman because she feels indebted to Batman for what she had done during Identity Crisis. Zatanna used her magic to mind wipe. Let's see, they mind wiped Dr. Light, Batman. I think there was a third person, maybe Elongated Man. And as revealed in issue 50 of Catwoman, they also mind wiped Catwoman, or at least gave her a subliminal suggestion to literally flip her from a villain to a hero, to take some pressure off of Batman during a very rough time in Gotham after stuff like No Man's Land and all that. So, and then in this issue, she comes to finally spill the beans and say, "I'm sorry, I owe you one." And in true Selena fashion, she gets some duct tape and duct tapes Zatanna's mouth shut so she can't say anything, and proceeds to throw her out a 3-story window into a dumpster. And of course, after that, she's just completely devastated. Like, all this hard work she'd gone, all the horrible things she's gone through to keep East End from being just a complete dumpster fire, all of that wasn't her choice, seemingly. And so now she's really hard pressed to decide if she wants to stay a hero or a villain. I put this in here. I wasn't really sure where it came out. It says November 2002. But, sometimes annuals will say something like just 1997, and it's like, well, what month of 97? So I think this is in the right place. I have 50 and then 53, so we'll see what happens. And of course, this whole Zatanna revelation thing led up to 1 year later, in which Selena now has a child, Helena. And it's very heavily hinted through the issues that Batman is the father. They eventually supposedly concretely say that Slam Bradley Jr., who is Wildcat's son and also a kind of a private eye / somewhat detective, on the Force. Like they had a love child together, but it's never really outright said that he's concretely proven to be the dad. So Batman ends up taking care of Helena pretty good while Catwoman is doing stuff on the side, and which he should, considering some of the stuff he put her through in this series. But man, just looking at this cover here, it just blows me away. You'll go from something as simple as like that's a fairly classic action pose, but done in an Adam Hughes style. It looks amazing, and then you have kind of a noirish, almost reminiscent of Crime Alley kind of scene here, to something a little more mainstream almost, and kind of the era, which was about 2003, somewhere in there, 2000, well, maybe more like 2007. Uh, and then of course you have these uh, kind of surrealist covers back to back, and then just Adam Hughes blowing it up big time with a fairly relaxed, beaten up, obviously, Catwoman, taking some time for herself. And then, like, what? Just, I love Adam Hughes to death. He's amazing. Uh, just some incredible cover work. Probably the best cover work DC's had. Like, I would put Adam Hughes' Catwoman right there with Batwoman covers. And those are my favorite covers pretty much of all time. Like Adam Hughes, J.H. Williams III, uh, Amy Reeder, Alex Ross. Did I already say Alex Ross? I'm not sure. But yeah, there's definitely like 5 people that anytime they do a variant cover or something, or they're doing a cover run, I'm definitely interested in at least looking at the series. So, uh, yeah, just incredible work by Adam Hughes. This is Selena and Slam Bradley Jr., and that's Helena down there in the corner. Obviously, this is where they revealed, quote, air quotes going crazy right now, that he was the father, but there was still some doubt. Like, it didn't really feel like they confirmed it when I read it, but I'm sure that's an argument that's gone over and over throughout the years. So, and it doesn't matter because she's been retconned out anyway. So, yeah. So between like 40 and, as you'll see, coming up here, uh, up to 83, Adam Hughes did I'm pretty sure every cover, uh, and just incredible stuff every time. I really like this one, because it's like so indicative of what this volume of Catwoman has been like, or been about up to this point, of just her past looming over her and her not knowing what to do, basically. Uh, and obviously, Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn are fairly prominent in the background there, and that's leading into the next series that will be showing up here in a little bit. This issue was nuts because Alfred takes care of Helena while Catwoman infiltrates the Amazons during the Amazons Attacked event, which was pretty insane and hard to follow, but I guess it made sense in the end. Just, yeah, I mean, look at that. Just amazing. This one was kind of, I had never seen this one before I bought this issue, and like, it doesn't feel like he usually does the spray paint like style suit. So I don't know what happened this month that he decided to do it, because like here you see like it's obviously skin tight, but it's still vinyl. It has that vinyl effect to it, and then even here, like, and then just all of a sudden, like it's spray painted on, or like latex stuff. It's just I don't know what happened, but it still looks nice, obviously. But I don't. I just thought that was kind of strange. And this one I like just because of the way she's using the stencil to put her name all over everything. This was the original end of Volume 3. Um, Obviously, another connection to Selena Kyle and excuse me, and that kind of Holiday in Rome, I think it's called, movie. Like that era of Star and Katharine Hepburn and all that stuff. So I think this may have led up into Catwoman When in Rome. Or no, sorry, God, I'm dumb. It's probably almost 3 o'clock right now. Let me check my phone right quick. Yeah, it's almost 3 o'clock. So my brain is starting to be like, why are you alive right now? And uh, so this was the last hurrah for this book at this point until Blackest Night, when the Black Lantern brought Black Hand back to life, who Catwoman killed. And also, oh no, what happens in this issue is Black Hand comes back to life, kidnaps Selena Kyle's sister and brother-in-law, and he rips the eyes out of her brother-in-law and makes her sister eat them and drives her nuts, and she becomes Sister Zero because she thinks that what happened to her and her husband was punishment on Catwoman for being a thief all her life and dragging them into that, and it's complicated. But anyway, so they brought it back just for that one issue, which I thought was pretty cool that they got Adam Hughes to come back for that one cover too. So I have the first and the last of Volume 3. It's always cool to have the first and the last of every volume, and then it just doesn't feel like such a Herculean task to get everything in between when you have the first and the last. So it was nice to pick that up. This is Batman Trail of the Gun, I believe. This is issue 2. Yeah. For some reason, I couldn't find number 1 anywhere. I'm probably going to have to order it off of Amazon. We'll see. This actually came out after, despite the somewhat retro and weird looking costume she has on, this came out after Volume 3, so pretty interesting. Or maybe not. I'm looking at the logo now. Yeah, it's got the bullet logo, quote unquote, bullet logo up at the top. I don't know. It's kind of hard to keep track. Once I have a long box now to put all my Catwoman stuff into, and when I put them all in there, then I'll be able to really go through and make sure they're all in chronological order. So, excuse me. Catwoman, number 1 one-shot for Bruce Wayne, The Road Home. I went to Tulsa to visit my friend Slip, who is part of the New Legacy Inc. crew here on YouTube and on Twitch and Hitbox. He and his fiance live fairly close, and I visited them, and we went to a store, comic shop, and either they have a rabid comic clientele base, or they have a very limited comic base because they had hardly anything at all uh, in the form of like old books, and they had they had zero Catwoman. Like they didn't have a Catwoman section even. And I just happened to think, well, I'll just look through Batman and see if there's any team ups with Catwoman or Batwoman that I missed somewhere. And I got to Bruce Wayne, and this was in there. This was the only Catwoman book in the store that wasn't as a single issue, anyway, that I know of. So that was pretty interesting to find that just in the middle of Bruce Wayne. And it's also interesting because this isn't listed on the Wikipedia at all, which is always fun to find out you're missing something because no one bothered to update the wiki or Comic Vine or any of that. So, which we're gonna talk about more eventually. I also picked up Oracle, which was a one-shot for Bruce Wayne: The Road Home. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of female superheroes and female characters in DC Comics in general, so had to pick it up. And kind of got on an Outsiders kick. I picked this up for 25 cents out of the quarter box at Hall of Heroes. Just thought it looked kind of neat. And this was a #1 with Katana. I think that's Maxima. I'm not sure. And then whoever that is at the bottom. Obviously, I didn't read it. I just thought it was cool. Always been a fan of the Outsiders group. I always thought it was cool that Batman kind of had a like a shadow group of people that he brought together and mentored a little bit, or at least had them do his dirty work and stuff. So this was more this was more the era of Outsiders that I'm familiar with. And while my brother was a huge fan of Kyle Rayner, I really fell in love with Jade at the time. Was a huge fan of Jade and Obsidian, especially, both of them. So it was great to pick this up. Love Grace Choi. I think she's a super underrated character. I wish they would bring her back. Half Amazon, half human. You know, could be a great fill-in. Like if they ever splintered the Justice League again, they could have, like if they based it around the Trinity, then you could have Batman's group and then Superman's group, and then Grace could be on Wonder Woman's group with, you know, Huntress and Black Canary, basically the Birds of Prey, and, you know, stuff like that. But that's probably not too likely. Also a huge fan of Katana. Can't wait to see her in Suicide Squad. Definitely hoping she survives the movie. Although, in the lead up, since it's going to come out in basically like 2 weeks, I think, they've made it seem like nobody in the team dies in the movie, which is kind of the antithesis of Suicide Squad in a way. So I'm really interested in what happens there, but always fun to pick up a cover that has Katana on it by herself. I think this is a pretty infamous issue, if I remember right, but I actually had this issue of Batman and the Outsiders #1. I had this before. This was one of the last comics I bought from the store that used to be in my hometown, and it got to the point where it was so behind on comics that the New 52 had started, and I think it was already 2012, and I went in there and they had 0 copies of anything New 52. It was just all Marvel all the time, and old Marvel too. So they had basically become a magic and Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon shop, which was really sad. But yeah, I love the team up of Batman and Martian Manhunter. Always been a fan of that. I always like Batman and Catwoman together. I always like Batman and Katana together. Metamorpho is almost always fun. And you have Grace there, and yeah, just I'm not a huge fan of this costume for Katana, but she's got some pretty interesting ones. I like her new 52 though; it's pretty cool. And I picked this up. All these price stickers, by the way, are wrong as far as I know, because there's no way he charged. I don't think he charged me that much for those. But yeah, picked up the one-shot Bruce Wayne. So I've got like 4 of them now, I think. I got that. I got all of this Outsider stuff. And then I went to Prairie Dog Comics, and I saw a cover of a comic, but it was in a complete collection book, or a bag, where it was every tie-in comic in that storyline together, and I didn't want to pay $30 for one comic. So I started looking, and I found these Brave and the Bold books, and how they have the 2 logos there. I saw them. I said, "Oh, it must be a Brave and the Bold book," because the title wasn't very clear somehow in this comic that's coming up. And so I picked up some Brave and the Bold stuff. Wonder Woman, Powder Girl, always a good combination. This is a fairly popular issue of Brave and the Bold. If you've ever typed in Superman, Catwoman, you've probably seen a panel from this comic where she tries to escape him, and talks out loud about, he's even cuter in person, and all those muscles and stuff like that. And he shows up in front of her saying, I can hear you, right? And all that fun stuff. And especially the end is really funny. She threatens to start coming to Metropolis more often, and that maybe she'll bring Poison Ivy along next time, and all that fun stuff. So I was really happy to find this, and it was a pretty decent price. I was kind of surprised. And then we have a 2-part with Supergirl and Raven, which is fairly rare to see these 2 together, as far as I know. You would think they would almost have a like Superman Martian Manhunter connection kind of thing going on, but for some reason they just rarely show up together. Unless I missed out an entire volume of Titans, or Teen Titans somewhere, where Supergirl was a part of it. Back in the 70s and 80s, that kind of thing. But this was the first time I'd ever seen these 2 together, especially like teamed up like this. And I love this one because it's 3 of my favorites: Wonder Woman, Zatanna, and Batgirl. It's J. Michael Straczynski and Cliff Chang. Amazing work. And it's just a fun cover. And of course, girl power at maximum on this cover. Really happy to pick it up. And then I found this. This was the comic I was talking about earlier that was in a full story bag. As you can see there, it's got Wonder Woman and Grace, and it's set up like the Brave and the Bold titles. So I thought, oh, it's Brave and the Bold. And then I saw the countdown at the top after I couldn't find it in the Brave and the Bold stuff. I thought, oh, maybe it's just under countdown. And the whole time I missed that bat symbol back there with the Outsider's O. And so, like, I looked under Brave and the Bold, I looked under Wonder Woman, I looked under Countdown, and when I noticed the logo, I looked under Outsiders, I looked under Batman. Couldn't find it in 3 different stores. And finally I get back to Hall of Heroes. I say, Dave, man, you gotta help me find this really cool Wonder Woman Grace team up. He said, who's Grace? And I said, don't worry about it. And I said, I finally showed him the cover, and he's like, "Well, I don't know if I have it, but maybe I put it under Five of a Kind, because that's what the story is called on the side there. It's a countdown tie-in called Five of a Kind." And sure enough, he had like 4 or 5 copies sitting under Five of a Kind. So it's technically uh, Batman and the Outsiders, Wonder Woman and Grace, a countdown tie-in, Five of a Kind. Is the title apparently, as far as I can tell. So that was a thing and a half to find, and it's a great story. It's Wonder Woman, uh, getting to know her half Amazon cousin, quote unquote, and Grace getting to actually speak to an Amazon rather than than just going on the stories she was told growing up by her adoptive parents, and so she comes to kind of, at least kind of, she likes Wonder Woman at least. Maybe not all the other Amazons, but it was a nice kind of bonding issue in between stopping terrorists from blowing up an entire city, that kind of thing. So I was really happy to pick this up. And now, back to a little bit more Catwoman stuff to go. This is the very first graded comic I've ever picked up. Gotham City Sirens #1. This is probably... there's one other cover in Sirens that could probably give this one the run for its money, but this is probably one of the most iconic Poison Ivy covers. One of the more iconic, maybe not now so much as for Harley Quinn, since she's in like 4 different books every month, but definitely one of her uh, most iconic uh, original costume covers. Uh, and Sirens is a great book, man. Like, it's so horrible that people just see the covers and see, the art and just think, oh, it's going to be misogynistic trash. But it's the same way with Bombshells, too. Like, if people would just actually read the book, they would understand why. Like, obviously, the sex is selling the book on the cover, but once you get into the story, it's like you barely even notice the cover when you start. You're like, when you pick it up off the shelf, you're like, oh, great, I can finally get back into the story here. And that was this book in a nutshell for me personally. Uh, like, there's some I read the first 20 as they came out. I don't know what happened to my copies, but I must have sold them somewhere. But I read the first 20, and there are some covers here that I have no recollection of whatsoever. And yeah, just seeing them again was really cool and kind of I don't even know what the word would be, but it was just nice to see them. Nostalgic, I guess. I think I previously covered getting other Gotham City Sirens books, so I'm not going to talk too long here. I really love this Poison Ivy cover. This one is great too. It's always fun having Riddler kind of scared and meek almost, and Catwoman being total boss material there. I would almost say that was a precursor to her Mafia stage in Volume 4. Here you see Sister Zero that I mentioned earlier. Uh, just a very strange turn of events for Catwoman, but uh, I don't think they even ever wrapped it up with her in any way before the book got canceled, or before New 52 started, I should say. Some great stuff. Just like there's Sirens is another book where the variety of the covers is really great too. Like, just between these two, you would think they're almost 2 different books. And now we're on to the Batwoman section. Gotta end every comic book haul with Batwoman stuff. It's getting really hard to find the stuff that I need to finish the collection. So I'm starting to pick up variant covers, which is just ludicrous, obviously, but I had to pick them up. This is the Alex Jones variant, I believe, for this issue, 853. No, maybe this is it. I'm not sure. I don't see a signature anywhere, but just some cool variant cover stuff I picked up. Obviously, the design is definitely nailed down here. You can see there in Batwoman's mask where the V, at the bottom of the V shape, they don't have the white space anymore, where artists were thinking that that was her real hair and not part of the mask. So that's gone, thankfully, at this point. And then I found these at Hall of Heroes, Gotham Underground 4 and 5. I picked this up because, Batwoman isn't even in this book. She's just on the cover because they wanted to spread out every single character in Gotham, basically, on all these covers. So I picked up both of them, even though she, just literally her left hand is on the cover of 5. But it just makes more sense to pick them up so you can put them side by side if anybody ever asks to look at the collection. But anyway, yeah, just that 1% of completionists that just have to have everything. That's the level of obsession I've fallen into with picking up Batwoman stuff. So this, I surprisingly enough picked up from that store I mentioned earlier that had 0 Catwoman stuff. They had a box, they had a sale table where everything on it was on sale, and they had 3 whole boxes, I think, full of variant covers. And this variant itself on Amazon, I'm pretty sure was going for $12 last time I looked, maybe $15. And I picked this one up there for $3 whole, and I was super happy because this is one of the cooler sketch variants, is what they call them. For some reason, the first 20 issues of Batwoman, that's the only kind of variant they did. I wonder if that may have been a creative choice by J.H. Williams and Blackman, but it's kind of a shame because there were some pretty cool months of variants, but and then once they left, they kind of started doing the Mad magazine cover and the Robot Chicken cover and stuff like that, and the Bombshells cover, obviously. I almost wonder if the Batwoman Bombshells cover is the most collected, because it seemed like it made the biggest splash out of all of them. But who knows? Time will only tell. And of course, gotta have the Detective Comics. Starting over again at 934 with the Rebirth branding. I was kind of iffy on the whole group dynamic thing. But the one thing that sold me on it in this very issue, and here's the variant cover. The one thing that sold me on this issue is the writer. I think his name is Tinian the Fourth, something like that. He brought Batwoman back to a more serious character. After J.H. and W. Hayden Blackman left Batwoman, and Mark Andreyko came on. Well, if you've watched all my videos, you know my whole issue with him. Basically, he turned Batwoman into a Whedon-esque protagonist that spouts out quips like they're going out of style, which they already have. And it was very depressing to just see her become this like almost a parody of Spider-Man as far as a quip saying superhero goes. And of course, all the other writing was terrible too, but we won't talk about that right now. But yeah, Tinian the Fourth brought her back down to Earth quite a lot, made her more cold, almost. Obviously, she's had some really terrible things happen to her in the New 52. Just from Dan DiDio alone, but of course, like all the drama with her sister and her dad, and and with the DEO and everything that happened there. So she's a more pragmatic character now, and that's good because the role she plays in this book definitely needs that. I'm gonna open another Gatorade. I probably should just be drinking water, but I need the taste to wake me up at this point. Even though the video is almost over, because we're winding down to the last stuff, so sorry about that. As you can see there, Clayface is around. He's kind of reformed. If you're familiar with Batwoman, you'll know that he was part of the Unknowns at the very end. For some reason, he's being targeted by the same group that's targeting Orphan and Tim Drake and Stephanie Brown, as well as Batwoman and Batman. So he's included in their group. And while Batman is going behind the scenes trying to figure out what's going on, Batwoman's charge is to train them all to be, like, give them a crash course on dealing with a supremely prepared opponent. A Batman level opponent, as you might say. So this story, I was unsure of it, but I had faith because of the way Batwoman was written, and it paid off in spades, because this issue and 936 are absolutely awesome. Especially 936, the way it ends is just amazing, and it's almost a decade-long payoff for Batwoman's entire character, really, or at least since Elegy, which was, 5 years ago, so half a decade. Well, no, because that was the detective run. The original detective run of Batwoman was 2009, so 7 years ago. Holy cow. Man, that blows my mind. Anyway, no spoilers for me, but just know that if you followed Batwoman since Elegy, something happens in 936 that it's one of those things where you would have never thought of it going in. At least for me, it was. But when it happens, it totally 100% made sense, which I was super happy about, and I can't wait. I hope there's like a million new issues waiting for me at Hall of Heroes, because I want to know more, and I want to know more now. So, yeah. Okay, so I literally took a sip with 2 issues left to go, because this is the last picture on this slideshow. Over 100 pictures. Excuse me. This video is probably well over an hour. I'll try to edit it down significantly, but it's definitely going to be over 45 minutes, so I'm sorry if that's too long to hear me rambling about comic books and Catwoman specifically. I might even do a little cheeky stat screen if I'm feeling feisty of how long I talked about everything at the end. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. It seems like during the summers I go on a huge binge of just buying comics almost every week, and then during the winter it's like only what's necessary. So, or at least all my shopping ends up being online, which is more expensive because of shipping. So, with the summer winding down, the chance of a new comic book haul video will get slimmer and slimmer, but we'll see. I would like to do another video game, like Let's Play, so look out for that. Maybe. And believe it or not, I'm still working on a 100% speedrun of Honeycam Studio. It's very difficult to get under a decent time anyway, and I have no idea how I'm going to record it, so, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, once again, thanks for watching. Happy hunting. If you have any questions about any books, if you want to ask, like, hey, I enjoyed, I, Vampire, is there anything like I, Vampire that you can recommend? Add that in the, just go ahead and ask me in the comments below. I'd be glad to help you find something new to enjoy. Obviously, I'm heavily DC biased, so I'm not going to know much Marvel stuff, but my brother is kind of into Marvel, and Slip is into Marvel now as well, so I can ask him about recent stuff at least. So, any questions, comments, suggestions, definitely welcome. And that'll do it for me at 3:23 in the morning. This has been POD7, and I'm signing out.